Hello, it's Dr. Darnese, and welcome back into another edition of What I Am Reading. Listen, I am in shambles. I just finished the series from the Spanish writer Carlos Ruiz Zafón. And if you don't know him, he is the most read Spanish writer since Cervantes, who wrote Don Quixote. His work is absolutely amazing. And so this is not really a book review. This is just sort of an overview of the works themselves. And so um, I finished it yesterday, the last of the four. I finished it yesterday and I couldn't even make the video yesterday. I mean, I cried at the end. It was so amazing. Okay, maybe some of you know, but let me just say, this is the first one, The Shadow of the Wind. Many people know this book. If you don't, run and get it. If you never read it, let me set the stage for you. It's post-war Barcelona, and a young boy named Daniel discovers a mysterious book in a hidden library. That book changes his life and sets the stage for all of the books, right? Four in the series. And unlocks a web of secrets, danger, love, and literary legacy. It's gothic, it's lush, it's magical, and it's one of my all-time favorite from now on. I swear, I think these books are the best thing I've ever read. I mean, that might be an overreach, but I'm telling you. So now, Carlos Ruiz Zafón has passed away. Unfortunately, he had a bout with cancer, and he passed away. So this was what I consider to be the first. It was the first of the series, but he said that it doesn't matter which order you read them in. And then the Angel's Game, and then I believe Prisoner of Heaven, which I don't have here because it was a library book, I'm pretty sure, as is this one. I'm about to take it back. This is The Labyrinth of the Spirits. If you can see that, I know it's a glare. Labyrinth of the Spirits, and you see it's a big old chunk of a book. It is over 800, just over 800 pages, I think, like 804 pages. Well worth it. I mean, if you're a reader, which I assume you are if you're watching me, then it doesn't matter how long a book is because if it's well written and it catches you up in a story, you don't mind because really what are you going to do? Put down a book and pick up another one anyway. So what difference does it make how many pages it is? That's what I would always tell my college students when they would ask me, well, how long is it? Do we have to read the whole thing? I said, do you know how to read? It's just one word after the other. What difference does it make how long it is? Because you're always reading. Anyway, what I love most is the deep atmosphere. Barcelona in his hands is just so rich. This is like the early 20th century under the dictatorship of Franco. And so that's the backdrop for all of these people, places, and things who you are meeting. And the idea is that there's a cemetery of forgotten books. And it is like it's described as this almost enormous library, is all I can really picture it. An enormous library where books that have been forgotten go, find their way to this enormous library or archive. And it's a secret place, and it serves as it shows up in all of the books. So, what is so remarkable about all of these books is essentially it's the same group of characters, and you're meeting them at different points in time, roughly. So, between I think the late 1920s into or 1930s into I think it was essentially through the 60s, but then in Labyrinth of the Spirits, it kind of brings us up to date into, I don't know, maybe the 80s. Anyway, Zafon is a masterful writer. He has managed to create a series where you meet these people, as in the first book, Shadow of the Wind, Daniel is a little boy and his father, they own a bookstore called Semperi and Sons in Barcelona. And they own a bookstore, but his father introduces him to the Cemetery of Forgotten Books. And you're allowed, if you get to this place, you're allowed to pick one book, and you must be the guardian of that book forever and ever. And so he picks a book by this mysterious author called Julian Carex, and that pretty much sets the stage for the enormity of the scope of this work because people Julian Carrick's is such a mysterious figure, and he's had such a interesting and multi-layered life that theme can carry on through all of these books. And I know you're like, what are you talking about? This book is a book about a book. The Shadow of the Wind is a book about a book and its mysterious author. And Zafon does such a great job that there's just like a labyrinth of characters and places and things that it creates such a rich, lush world, a rich, lush world that I can imagine. Like I found these, I came to the series after it was all said and done, but I imagine if I had found it earlier, I would have been on the edge of my seat waiting for the next one. They're so lush, but they, as I started to say before, Zafon said that it didn't really matter which one you picked up first because he created them to be a labyrinth, and you can enter the labyrinth from any number of the books, from any number of places, right? You can pick up any of the books and it'll be okay. But really, I would suggest definitely start with The Shadow of the Wind, and then like The Angel's Game and Prisoner of Heaven. I think it doesn't matter which one you pick up after that. 2 and 3, Angel's Game and Prisoner of Heaven. It kind of doesn't matter which one you read second and third. But I can't imagine, like if you picked up this one first, Labyrinth of the Spirits, it would be hard, I think, to fully appreciate it, especially the ending, because he wraps up all of these storylines in such a remarkable way that by the end, I'm telling you, I was in tears. And I can't even, I'm speechless. That's why I couldn't even make the video. I'm speechless. And so let me tell you, the last page, this is what I did. So I read the last page. I'm like, tearing up as I read the last page. And I turn, not knowing it's the last page, and it's the last page. And so I go like this, right? I'm thinking I missed the page because it just can't be over. The idea was it cannot be over, right? So then there's an epilogue, and it's just like almost just 2 paragraphs of an epilogue. So it doesn't really give you that much more. But in that epilogue, it all just came together. And so I am absolutely amazed at Carlos Ruiz Zafón as a writer. I am amazed. The world building, the characters, the literary, I'm going to say magic. There's kind of magical realism in here, but it's not really supernatural per se. It hints at some supernatural elements, which I think just makes it gothic, right? It's kind of gothic. Um, but you get so connected to these characters that, like, I don't know if I'm gonna ever forget these. I can't imagine I'm gonna ever forget these characters because it's like they're alive somewhere. When I say these characters are alive somewhere, and it's so rich. I can't even say enough that I can't. I'm imagining these books are going to be made into a movie at some point, into several movies. I mean, they could just make a movie of Labyrinth of the Spirits because it pulls together so much. And I don't know how they're going to do it in a movie because 800-page book is like how many hours? It could be a mini series. It could be like a series on Netflix or something and done over multiple episodes and multiple seasons, really, like Game of Thrones. It's like that, where there's so many layers of people, places, and things. It could literally be like a Game of Thrones kind of series. So I'm inspired as a writer. I don't know that I have it in me to write this way. The other people who make me think that are Toni Morrison and James Baldwin. When I read them, I go, I don't know if I have it in me to write that way. But Carlos Ruiz Zafón, I'm telling you, I don't. Right now, I'm thinking it is at least among the top books I've ever read in my entire life. Like I'm struggling to think of anything better, but I'm imagining that at some point else I've said something similar about something else. Um, and then I will say too, if you've ever read Isabel Allende, it's kind of reminiscent of the way that she writes in her book House of the Spirits, I believe it was called. And that's a book that I've always wanted to go back and reread. That's one of the best books I've ever read as well. And I'm telling you, what else can I say? If you have not read any of Carlos Ruiz Zafón, I am going to, I can't recommend it enough. It gets all the stars, all of the stars. And then people are like, well, what, is there anything wrong with it? Well, I will say in this labyrinth of the spirit, like it, and let me tell you, I went on vacation. I went to Zurich, and I carried this book with me. And many people say, why don't you just have it on, e-reader, Kindle, or whatever. I I already had it out from the library, which meant I had to read it and get it back to the library, right? I've already renewed it and renewed it and renewed it. So I said, I'll just take the book with me. And because I couldn't put it down. I just absolutely cannot put that book down. I will say, though, that at certain points, I did get a bit confused because there are so many people, places, and things, and like new characters brought in to further expand on who you already knew. It's like a core group of characters, right? And it expands because you get to know more and more of their world. So it expands on the characters. And now I'm like, okay, and a couple characters had a similar name, and I was like, oh my gosh, where are we? What's going on? But not, didn't make me put the book down. I wasn't that frustrated with it because what I knew by then with Zafon is I trust him as a writer. I know this is going to come back together. I know this is going to come back together. And I would say from page about 500s, the pacing just took off. And you might say, I got to read 500 pages. I'm not saying that the first 500 were bad or slow. But I'm just saying about 500, it picks up. Like even like the pace is just going, and I'm just turning the pages, right? And they're just really unforgettable characters, and then you're just like, oh my gosh, this is what's happening. Now we're getting the answers to the mysteries that have been, the questions that have been asked in all of the three books prior. You're getting clarification, so that's why the pace is picking up because you're like, oh, that's what's happening. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. And it's really coming together in such a masterful way. And he has a character, Fermin Romero de Torres, who is like the comic relief and who is absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And I think to myself, he must have really known someone like this character because, like, the dialogue that he gives this character is amazing. Anyway, so again, if there was any reason why I would say, oh, here's maybe a flaw. Sometimes because the world is so rich, you can feel like, wait, how many, who, what, right? But it doesn't last long because Zafon is such a good writer that he pulls it together for you. And I guess I will wrap it up there. Wrapping it up feels like I'm wrapping up uh, Carlos Ruiz Zafón, because as I said, he passed away and there are no other. Well, he did write City of Mist, which I understand is a collection of shorter stories, which I am going to get. I understand he wrote some young adult things as well. And I am going to start reading those because, again, the writing is masterful. And I can only imagine or hope that I would write in such a way that's so captivating with the world building and characters. Again, if you've seen Game of Thrones or anything that's just sort of a massive epic, then I think you get what I mean. So what else did I want to say? I have my notes here because I wanted to make sure I was covering things. I guess I'll just say, in closing, here's a quote from Shadow of the Wind. Every book, every volume you see here has a soul. They're talking about going into the cemetery of forgotten books, this enormous archive or library. Every book, every volume you see here has a soul, the soul of the person who wrote it and of those who read it and lived it and dreamed with it. So that's why I read, that's why I write. And if you're watching this, I imagine that maybe that's true for you as well. So let me know in the comments, what book do you think has shaped you? What book would you say is the best thing you ever read? And yeah, what if you've read Zafon, definitely let me know if any of these are your favorite or any thoughts you have on Zafon, any thoughts you have on whatever you think is the best book you've ever read in your life. What books have moved you to absolute tears or just where you felt like, I'm in shambles after this now. I don't even know how I'm going to go on in life. Anyway, subscribe and please share because you see I'm trying to grow the channel here, and I would love to have more comments and more people joining these conversations. So bye for now.